Okay, so I am going to be talking about an article that I found called Expert Water from a Polluted Puerto Rico Site Safe to Drink. So it starts off by talking about how there is a Superfund site in a place called Dorado in Puerto Rico. A Superfund site is any land that has been contaminated by hazardous waste and deemed a candidate for cleanup by the EPA because it poses a threat to human health. So there was a recent hurricane in Puerto Rico, or that affected this part of Puerto Rico, Hurricane Maria. About 1 million people were left without running water, forcing them to find alternative sources. One of these alternative sources that they found was in Dorado in this Superfund site. So there was 3 wells on this potentially contaminated land. They were called the Santa Rosa well, the Maguayo 2 and the Maguayo 4 well. They were all on this Superfund site, this contaminated land. So CNN actually had a university lab do tests on the water to see if it was safe to drink, since they found people using it and drinking it. So the article specifically says that these tests by Virginia Tech were actually not conducted according to the strictest of protocols. So already there is some vagueness in their testing. But they did collect water from this site in Puerto Rico, and they had it sent to somebody named Dr. Edwards, who works at Virginia Tech, who oversaw the testing of all of this water. Edwards said that this method of testing the water could have yielded slightly cleaner results than what the water actually was, but the contaminant levels were so low that it didn't concern him, is what he said. So ultimately, he deemed the water safe to drink for all of these people who were looking for an alternative water source after this big hurricane. Some things that the article failed to mention, though, was how the water was actually affecting the people that were drinking it, also how long they had been drinking it for, and how many people were drinking it. It does mention some alternative sources people had been using for water. It says, following Hurricane Maria, some Puerto Ricans have resorted to bathing in rivers and mountain streams, collecting rainwater to flush toilets, and drinking from potentially risky sources. So I would think that this particular Superfund site, this hazardous waste land, would be considered a potentially risky source, but Edwards does say that the well showed 0.7 parts per billion of PCE, an industrial contaminant, and drinking water standards in the United States say water is safe below 5 parts per billion. So according to that, the water was safe to drink. However, the article also states that the lab did not test for bacteria, which is another concern after hurricanes, but the samples showed levels of chlorine, a disinfectant, that makes Edwards confident that they are safe. So while the article does give us a specific measurement of the PCE, the contaminant, it shows us by U.S. standards that it's safe to drink, it fails to give us a measurement for how much chlorine was found in it, and they didn't even test for bacteria at all. So it's a whole aspect of the water that we don't know what's going on there or if it's safe. They also failed to offer a truly clean alternative source of drinking water. They merely just dubbed the water found at these wells in this Superfund site as safe to drink, even though it was on EPA declared hazardous waste land. So that was my article.